the criticism will be harsh. It will be extremely harsh. And I actually brought a notepad. I mean, I always have a notepad nowadays, but this is important for my next point. So the Magic Castle criticism will be hard. How harsh, you ask? I've seen full adults, and I consider adults 18 and up. I've seen full adults cry openly and publicly because the criticism will be harsh. Sometimes they've been working on making the criticism better, but Bob Dorian would just say, that fucking sucked. Excuse my language again. I shouldn't have, but like that's the baseline.
During the show?
During the show or after the show. Just to trash you. And it would throw off your entire performance, and then you would feel inadequate. And that was at the most polite. Even though I just said something very crude, and I apologize for it, it got very, very derogatory from there. And like everyone was very impressionable, so it really, really stung. So what made it sting much less is having a notepad, and it shows your willingness to learn, and maybe their criticism becomes better. This sounds crazy, but their criticism would be better just because you showed your willingness to learn. And even if it was bad, you can filter out the negative stuff by saying, where could I have improved, and writing down, taking notes, and filtering out what they really meant to say, so you can improve your performance better, or make it better, because it was really harsh. So having a notepad there is important. I should also mention to take a couple days off, because I didn't have the notepad. I didn't know the importance of writing down, being a meticulous note taker. And at the end of it, I threw my car to the trash, threw everything out, and was on the verge of quitting many, many, many times. And I pushed myself to do it because I just wanted to see what kind of performer I could be. So, took my cards out of the trash, filled with rotten... Anyways, I got the cards, and I took the notes, or I remembered as much as I could. Notepad much better. And then I really, with that mindset of improving, I took all the notes in consideration and improved my performance. So having a notepad, you can immediately look at it once you've gone on your hiatus break, a week, 2 weeks, whatever time you need, just do it. It's for your mental health, because criticism is not easy to take in, especially if it's not the best criticism. It's not necessarily constructive. It's just wanting to trash on you. Or someone is spiteful against you, even worse. So, in that regard, take notes, take a break, then come back to it, and you'll become a better performer just through that alone, so you can be able to do it. And occasionally, this could also apply outside of Magic Castle. I didn't mention this in my original live stream, which had no microphone, so you couldn't even hear it. What's important is that you actually can take this into the real world. So after you do a show and the audience applause maybe isn't to your expectation, or maybe it is, in either case, you can have your notepad on the side, and you can ask an audience member, ask them, how do you think of your show? If there was one thing you saw or I can improve upon, what would it be? And then you honest, with a genuine heart, or I'm blanking as I say this, but with a caring heart, you actually openly ask them how your show can be improved, what their thoughts were, and then if they have any notes, they mention it, write it down, and take it into consideration. And through getting the spectators, the audience's thoughts on it, you could actually improve your show that way. Half the show, I'll be honest, more than half the show comes from the audience. So that's why I have a bounce back personality, because their energy is my energy. And their thoughts are my thoughts. And their jokes, I steal a lot of their jokes, I'll be honest, and I throw into mine. If a magician got a nickel for every time they said, well, that's great, but how about you make my wife disappear? I've heard that 1,000 times over, and every magician probably has too. And not only that, I internally question the husband's motive. Why would you want to make your wife disappear? Raising eyebrow. Anyway, so there's that. And then finally for this section, Bob hated my hat with a passion. This is the exact hat he hated. So this lecture is kind of dedicated to, rest in peace, Bob Dorian. He hated this hat. He tried so hard, adamantly, to ban hats from the castle because he just thought it wasn't part of the performance. And I think it looks great on me. I would get compliments from everyone in the castle, all the judges, but he just passionately hated it. So there's no point to this other than me venting, not really venting, but just talking about Bob's hatred for hats. and that sometimes you do you. There will always be people who will hate hats or dislike fedoras. There's like a specific thread or meme set for people who dislike fedoras. Those fedora people. I just can't even associate myself with someone who does a fedora. Well, you're just censoring people just for a piece of clothing? Shows the level of depth you have. Goodbye. You would say to that person. So I want to, look past the hat, look at the individual and with the point they're trying to make, and then internalize if that's something you agree with. So I guess there was a point to this.
Of course.
I guess there always is a point to everything in this world. As Master Udway says, there are no accidents. Source from Kung Fu Panda for all you nerds out there. So that is section number 5.